Welcome to Listening, interviews with the living, the dead, the real, and the imaginary. I'm your host, Mike Zonta. I'm a graduate of SFCC, San Francisco Comedy College. Today we will be interviewing President Donald Trump. And in part two, we will be interviewing Bambi's mother. But to begin with, we are very honored to be speaking with the President of the United States. Welcome, Mr. President.
Fake news.
Mr. Trump, some say you are not up for the job.
I'm a very stable genius.
Mr. Trump, was there collusion between the Russians and your campaign?
So disgraceful that the questions concerning the Russian witch hunt were leaked to the media. No questions on collusion. Oh, I see. You have a made-up phony crime collusion that never existed and an investigation begun with illegally leaked classified information. Nice.
Mr. Trump, your former wife, Ivana, said at one point in her marriage when you were upset that the doctor she recommended botched your scalp reduction surgery that you raped her, but not in a legal sense.
She ruined my life.
Mr. Trump, you're accused, or you've been accused by 32 women of sexual assault.
Yeah, but I denied it.
Mr. Trump, what do you think of Hillary Clinton?
Nasty woman.
Mr. Trump, are we going to have a deal with North Korea?
I think we already have one. I've been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, or maybe an Oscar, not sure, but I'm great at deals. Deals are my art form. Other people paint beautifully or write poetry. I like making deals, preferably big deals. That's how I get my kicks.
Mr. Trump, in your campaign, you said you'd build a wall and the Mexicans would pay for it.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending the best. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some I assume are good people. But I speak to border guards, and they're telling us what we're getting.
Mr. Trump, in 1990, your wife, Ivana Trump, said that you kept a copy of Hitler's speeches at your bedside. Is this true?
Yeah, but I never read them.
Mr. Trump, in 1989, even after the Central Park Five were acquitted of rape and murder charges, you doubled down and put a full-page ad in the New York Times advocating the death penalty.
Muggers and murderers should be forced to suffer, and when they kill, they should be executed for their crimes. They admitted they were guilty. The police doing the original investigation say they were guilty. The fact that that case was settled with so much evidence against them is outrageous. These young men do not exactly have the pasts of angels.
Mr. Trump, pardon my frankness, but you don't seem to be a fan of self-examination.
I don't like to analyze myself because I might not like what I see.
Thank you for your time, Mr. President.
Fake news.
Welcome back to Listening, interviews with the living, the dead, the real, and the imaginary. In part two, we are thrilled to be interviewing Bambi's mother. Welcome, Bambi's mother.
Yeah, whatever.
By the way, do you have a name?
Doris.
Doris, people all over the world have been traumatized or will be traumatized by your death as depicted in the Disney movie Bambi.
Yeah, I was kind of traumatized myself.
Doris, for those unfamiliar with your murder, let me play this audio.
Yeah, I remember.
So let's see, this happened in 1942. What have you been doing with yourself since?
You do realize I'm an imaginary character, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, even imaginary characters have afterlives, so yeah, I spent some time in limbo. Then I reincarnated as an imaginary hunter.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I guess the universe wanted me to get the perspective of the other guy.
So you learned what it's like to be a hunter.
Yeah.
What did you learn?
Well, a hunter's got to eat, you know.
Whatever became of your son, Bambi?
Well, after years of therapy, he joined an imaginary cult and eventually died of Lyme disease.
That's sad.
Life goes on.
Well, Doris, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. As I said at the beginning of our interview, your death traumatized many of us.
Yeah. You know, it was my death. You only got traumatized because you keep trying to forget the inevitability of your own.
Well, thanks again for being with us today, Doris. And be sure to subscribe to this podcast. We'll have even more interesting guests next time.